So here's the debate that I think is emerging. And we got another layer of it today, if you will. But Friday, Kayvon Thibodeaux worked out, the defensive end with the Oregon Ducks, who at one point was presumed to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. But something has happened since the season ended. It feels as though Thibodeaux is settling in at somewhere other than number 1 and maybe not even number 2. But when he worked out Friday, the Lions sent 7 guys out for that workout.
7?
Yeah. Now, you could be looking at more than just Kayvon Thibodeaux in terms of Oregon Ducks. It's not like they went out there and looked at just one player.
Well, because it's certainly more than just Kayvon Thibodeaux. Yeah.
Yes. But with that said, the Lions were there and present. Thibodeaux said that he would be visiting with the Lions. He said he was going to visit every team in the top 5. And as we get closer and closer, it feels like there's an interesting debate emerging here. Because ideally, as far as position and fit outside of quarterback, it feels like defensive end, edge rusher would be the perfect position at number 2 for the Lions to add. And it's turning into a Kayvon Thibodeaux versus Trayvon Walker debate.
Because it feels like Aiden Hutchinson will go first overall.
Feels like Hutchinson's going to go first overall. Walker's stock is rising, or I hate the term because I always feel like it's implied. I think we're just learning more about teams' draft boards. A guy's stock, we say his stock is rising or his stock is falling when early in the process they get projected to go somewhere. But if we get later in the process and we find out what their real value is. So I always feel uncomfortable using the terms rising and falling. I just think we're learning more.
I think as it relates to post-combine, I think it's fair to say that because it's the media that'll be asking questions of their sources about certain players. And when the media sees someone like Trayvon Walker have a fantastic combine, and when the media sees someone like Kayvon Thibodeaux who walks out after just doing a couple of drills, then they're going to ask specific questions like, hey, did Trayvon Walker, did he improve himself? And maybe the sources say yes, exactly.
Trayvon Walker was projected in Peter King's mock draft that he released today, and Peter King, longtime NFL guy, really well sourced. He's connected. He's got Trayvon Walker going number 2 to Detroit.
Spoiler alert.
Well, we're not going to do the no, because we're doing a different thing with this. But he is going number 2 to Detroit. Lions had 7 people there with Thibodeaux. And I listened to Thibodeaux talk the whole time afterwards. Thibodeaux is blaming his perceived fall, on the media.
Was he asked about it, or did he just okay? So he was asked specifically about.
He was asked about what is being said about him. Is he having? How are you dealing with it? And he's blaming the media, and says it's the media's narrative. They're going to write what they want. And so I listened to the guy talk, and there's something about him, and that approach from him that I don't necessarily like personally. But at the end of the day, he's the one that walked away from the combine workout. And does that mean he's a bad person? No, not necessarily. There's something about him that makes me uncomfortable, the way he answered these questions. Because you're talking about making an investment in somebody that you hope is going to come here and be a professional. He's physically gifted, and he did the whole interview with his shirt off. He looks like a beast. He looks like an absolute beast.
Does he work out?
But the reality is he's incredibly gifted, and this could be on me for reading him the wrong way, but I guess I'm not the only one. I might be reading him the wrong way. I might be insightful into him maybe having problems in a professional locker room. You have to take all things into consideration, right, when judging a player, including whether or not you get a good sense about if they're going to be a great pro. They're going to be a great pro. Do they have the kind of mentality and approach to the game that you think will translate into being a great professional? And I'm not sure. Thibodeaux makes me uncomfortable, but he's so gifted. So you got this Thibodeaux versus Walker debate. And what's interesting is I know you are in Camp Walker and Kang is in Camp Thibodeaux. And I'm kind of in between. I'm not crazy about either of them. I'm not. I'm worried that Walker is the workout warrior, where I'm not sure he was the number one bullet point on any opposing offensive coordinator or offensive lines at Georgia. I'm not sure that he was getting a lot of double teams. And he put up 9.5 sacks in his career, which is somewhat underwhelming. Of course, it could be a product of other guys getting to the quarterback before he did, and they just had a great pass rush. And then Thibodeaux, it's the off-the-field stuff and the question about his dedication to the game that he says is just the media narrative. Now, with him starting to settle in, at places like 9 and 10 and 11 in mock drafts, is he settling in there because it's the media's fault? It could be. It very well, it could be that the media is just projecting him there. Or is the media projecting him there because that's what teams are telling them? Is the intel that these guys are putting him in mock drafts at 9, 10, and 11, Kayvon Thibodeaux we're talking about, is it because that's what scouts and what teams and GMs are telling the media? And then the third part of that is, are they telling the media that because they want him to drop? Is a team sitting at 10 going, we wouldn't take him? Oh, I hear nobody likes him at the top of the draft because they're trying to create a narrative that helps them get the player they want to drop to them. So there's all kinds of moving parts here. And the question is, who's the better pick at 2? If they are going defensive end, is it Kayvon Thibodeaux or is it Trayvon Walker?
Well, it's a big question. There are things I like from Thibodeaux, and there are things I like from Walker. I think that there's no question there's the raw pass rushing ability of Thibodeaux is there and on display, and he's been, at the top of everybody's, mind for a couple of years now. People have been hearing about Kayvon Thibodeaux. But Trayvon Walker looks like a guy who can be on the field for every play. And that means something. It's tougher. I keep saying it's so tough with the Georgia guys because everybody on Georgia is so good and so highly rated. It's like looking at Alabama guys all these years, and Georgia's got to that level this year. It's tough to make that evaluation. I'm not angry at anybody if they think that the Thibodeaux is the better prospect. I'm not angry with anybody if they think, whoever is going to be. If Jermaine Johnson is the better prospect. I think there's a lot of really good pass rushers in this draft, and I don't think there's a whole lot of separation between them. Whether it's Aiden Hutchinson or Thibodeaux or Walker or Jermaine Johnson or whomever. I think that these guys, Karlaftis, I think they all have the ability to get to the quarterback. But you have to figure out for your team which one's the best fit for your team. And it's not just on the field, it's off the field. It's attitude-wise, what works here, what doesn't work here. Is this guy going to be a 3-down guy? Is he going to be a 1-down guy? Can he cover guys out of the backfield? Are you going to ask him to do things and he's going to be a fish out of water? Or is this guy that can absolutely do and check all the boxes? And there's nothing wrong if he doesn't check all the boxes, because if he checks one box really well, like Thibodeaux does with his pass rushing ability, that may be all you need. But I'm not the guy who has to evaluate that. That's the Detroit Lions that have to do that, and it's up to them what is the best fit.